Beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the Court of the EDI Jester. How are we, good people? It's great to see you again. Ooh, lots going on. Again, right? So first off, become a warrior teacher if you can. Look at the pinned tweet. Okay, I've got on my Twitch timeline or in the Dubras as usual, along with the information from this article and this information I'm going to give you today. If not, could you buy me a coffee or, subscribe to my Substack and do a special thanks. Oh, there's plenty of ways that you can help me keep going if you would like to help me keep going, because YouTube are being bothersome. Honest to God, sometimes I wake up and think, what's the damn point? I really do. But that's, rare for me. I'm normally sprightly and positive. Sounds like a lawyer's. Sprightly and positive, can we help you? So we've been seeing this because it was started off by Marie, wasn't it? Right, that's it, I'm done. This is me. Right, which is all a bit, it's all a bit, Greatest Showman. This is me. Oh, some bearded lady singing. It was a fantastic song. So, very good film, actually. Wonderful dance at the bar between Hugh Jackman and who's the other one? Handsome chap. I don't know. Anyway, enough of my waffling. So, who am I? Who's actually behind the mask on Twitter or behind the mask on Facebook? Who is the individual that is speaking and saying and fighting and standing up for what's right? Who I've said, in numerous times before, and I'll say again, don't do anything that's going to put you in any danger. Don't do anything that's going to put you in trouble. But I thought it was really interesting that we've got an article from Eva Kurilova, who is a renowned Twitterite. Out there twitting, can't you? Xing now, isn't it? What are we going to call ourselves? The X-Men? The X-Women? The X-Men? I don't know. Honest to God. But we've got from Eva's newsletter, which is on her site, evakurilova.com. I've got the links to the newsletter in the Dubras for you. And Eva here is talking about public criticism of gender ideology is just the tip of the iceberg, right? So what she's saying is gender ideologues, these nutters that we all know about, can be forgiven for thinking they have the upper hand in the culture. After all, they control all of the institutions. They have leftist political parties completely captured, and in Canada, most of the Conservatives as well. They rule with an iron fist in teachers' associations and as diversity officers in Fortune 500 companies. They've even taken over hobby groups like knitting. Now, it's strange that Eva should mention that, because I know somebody who lives in the middle of nowhere, who's an older lady, right, who had a group which was about gardening. This trans nutter invaded it and wrecked the whole thing. Why would they do that? Wake up in the morning and go, right, what, and write pink knickers, red dress, let's go bother people gardening online. Why? What are they doing that for? But they did. Started asking questions, are you trans inclusive, and brought the whole thing to a halt. And the people that were in there were all over 70, and they're there going, now, I've got my petunias, and can anybody give me any advice on peonies? And somebody pops up and says, can I ask for your pronouns? They didn't know what was going on, so of course they started to, pamper to this nut job. And in pampering to the nut job, they made him worse. When they should have gone at the beginning, okay, Loon, ban him. That's what we need to do, is to ban these people from public spaces, because they're just nutters, right? You can't do it in employment at the moment because we haven't changed the law yet, so you can, but we'll get there. As if. Right, okay. So, as Eva, just to bring us back to the point I was making about Eva's article, they are even taking over hobby groups like knitting, trans knitting. Does that mean it's crochet? Stop it. Does it? Oh. Right. But the final flaw of their villainism is that they think they go unchallenged out of respect and agreement, rather than fear. On the other side, we do have our share of vocal individuals. I'm saying nothing. But the ones who are public could either afford to do it, or were willing to take a huge risk. Or forced into it, Eva. Forced into it is another one. This can make our numbers seem very small, but for each one putting their real name on the line, there are hundreds involved in the discussion, anonymously, because they cannot afford the professional blowback, don't want to deal with the personal blowback, or likely a combination of both of those things. Nevertheless, it certainly bolsters our numbers on social media anyway. Over the last few years, the conversation has definitely shifted. What a lot of ideologues don't factor in at all are the scores and scores of people who don't have a presence online and who hardly or never talk about the gender wars in their personal or professional lives. but who are fed up with their antics over never bought into them in the first place. Some of them are doing excellent work behind the scenes, and this movement will be nowhere without them. Some of them support those of us who do put ourselves out there. Thank you. That's a thank you from me as well as Eva. Others are simply living their lives, but are ready to show what they really think at the ballot box. Now, this has particular interest for me. It comes from Canada, which I think is probably the most woke place on the planet, perhaps bar San Francisco. But Canada as a whole, as a country, is probably the most woke country. I think it's a very dangerous situation that Canada is in now. And as soon as they get rid of Gutsy Intruder, whatever his name is, Justin Trudeau, everything will start to get better. And it's important for us to recognise that that's what a democracy does. So even when we get to do our voting coming, next year, I believe, we haven't seen what's in the Conservative war chest yet or what's in the Labour war chest yet. But a conversation I had with some friends of mine the other night fielded a couple of beauties. The first one being that neither of them could agree about whether or not Labour stands for anything. And they were both Labourites. I think it's interesting that even they can't say, well, actually, I think Labour's about this. But they didn't know. So I asked the question, what do they stand for in the economy? Well, we're not sure. How do they stand on public services? Well, they're going to spend more money. Where are they going to get the money? Well, we're not sure. Is it me, or does Labour currently not stand for anything? And I think with that difficulty, we've got the problem of Keir Harmer. He's not charismatic at all. He's not a leader in any sense of the word in that way. And nor, for that matter, is Rishi Sunak, who can't reach the 8 button in the lift because he's so short. 8th floor, please. Thank God you're in here. Right? Neither of them have got leadership written all over them for me. And if we see that what Eva is saying is true in Canada, and that there is a slow movement, a slow, if you will, a groundswell, I like that word, groundswell, a groundswell of people who aren't like you and I and stuck in the middle, of this nonsense, who are actually going, hang on, just a sec, something not right here. We get in that ballot box, see? They get in the ballot box, it changes things. Don't know. They get in the ballot box, they're like, ooh, yeah. What shall I do? And we better hope that happens to us. Because my concern is that very many of us in this particular journey, fight, battle, contretemps, whatever you want to call it, are left-leaning, certainly socially. I mean, I'm left-leaning socially. But I'm right-leaning economically. Keep Labour out of the bloody way of the economy. Just stay away. Right? But I think if we don't have some way of saying to those people who are on the left and who the idea of voting for the Tories is absolute anathema, that, you might just have to swallow it. We might have to recognise that this is not the simplistic thing that we think it is. That in fact it's really about keeping Labour out. Not voting for the Tories is about keeping Labour out. What are they going to say? The SDP's got nothing, Labour's got nothing, the Tories haven't really got much. People are going, well, I'll vote for Kelly J. Key. For what? These arguments are taking place at a state and global level. For what? I wish Kelly J. all the best in the world with her New Women's Party or whatever it's going to be called. But to think that they're going to be ready quick enough, they're great, brilliant, but to think they're going to be ready quick enough to avoid the catastrophe that critical social justice is bringing to the West is unbelievably naive. Same goes for everybody else. We've still got to manage this big pendulum that swings over our heads. Anyway, go and read what Eva said. She's attached to that particular article her peak trans story. And if you're somebody that's not sure about whether they should come out, you should read Pitt, Parents with Inconvenient Truths About Trans. And they'll tell you all the stories about people that did peak. They did. And if you really want to, go the whole hog, have a look at the timeline of Sarah Phillimore, who has written a book, or many people have written a book that Sarah's put together, called Transpositions, which is about how people came to the fight. I'm in the second one, apparently, or I'm going to be. God help Sarah. Bless you. Go and have a look. Because right now, I'm despairing. It's getting so close to the election. It's September. How did that happen? We've got to win, and right now I'm not convinced we are. But let's have a go. At any rate, keep at it. I'll see you later.